Turning our attention to the role labor unions will play in the presidential election, past and current, we invite into the stream Peter Francia at Center for Survey Research at East Carolina University. He's the director and political science professor, and he's joining us from Raleigh. It's good to have you here, sir. There's a common belief that labor unions may not have the same kind of strength they had in years past, and yet you point out that in 2016, voters in union households made up 18% of the electorate. So what do we take of that going into 2020?
Yeah, so the point is that that's a sizable percentage of the electorate. Nearly 1 out of 5 voters in 2016 came from union households. I would also point out that presidential elections are presidential elections are won and lost in those battleground states, and 2 battleground states in particular, Michigan and Wisconsin, also have a sizable percentage of voters who come from union households. The number's 28% in Michigan and 21% in Wisconsin. So keep your eye on that.
Peter, what are some issues when you talk about those battleground states that you think are especially resonate with those union members? When we've heard the president, of course, talk a lot about trade and his trade fight with China, as well as the upgraded NAFTA. But I'm wondering how much resonance that has with voters who are maybe potentially still undecided.
Well, Donald Trump has used the NAFTA issue in the 2016 election, and of course he raised it again in his acceptance speech at the RNC convention just last week. And so that Trump has sort of emphasized economic populism as a centerpiece of how he campaigns. And those issues do resonate with white working class voters who are, in many respects, can be up for grabs. If you look at the union numbers in 2016 in the exit polls, Trump was able to narrow the gap that normally exists between Republicans and Democrats. So Trump lost the union vote to Clinton, but it was only 9 points. If you go back 4 years and you look at Mitt Romney lost that vote by 18 percentage points. And if you go back to the election in 2008, McCain lost that vote by 20 percentage points. So Trump was able to narrow that gap, and that likely played a role, at least a contributing factor, in his success in 2 key battleground states, Wisconsin and Michigan.
Peter, Dan Roberts here. You mentioned that Trump lost the union vote to Clinton last time. How much has it shifted since then? And is there a little bit of a misconception? Obviously, it depends on the industry, it depends on the state, but it seems to me there's a little bit of a misconception that in general, labor unions really like Trump, or over the last 4 years that they've gravitated toward Trump.
Well, the major union endorsements have gone to Biden. Remember, Joe Biden spent much of his political career as a friend of organized labor. Unions haven't forgotten that. So most of the key union endorsements, the Teamsters, for example, just recently announced that they're endorsing Joe Biden. The key union leaders throughout the movement, the Service Employees International Union, AFSCME, some of the major players in the labor movement are going to be strong backers of Joe Biden. Biden's won the postal workers endorsement as well. Donald Trump did win the endorsement of the National Association of Police Officers. So there is some labor support for Trump, but at least from the union endorsement perspective, Joe Biden will win most of those key endorsements.
Peter Francia is Center for Survey Research at East Carolina University, director and political science professor. Thank you for joining us on The Move.